Hello and good evening, everybody, to episode 10, and welcome to episode 10 of Photo Talk Plus. We have a special show tonight. My name is Thomas Hawk. I'm here as always with my co-host Lotus Carroll.
Hello.
Hi, Lotus. And we've got a wonderful interview tonight with Jaime Ibarra, who is a wonderful fashion photographer, amongst other things, and he's going to talk a lot about his work. We also have a number of great panelists. Lotus, do you want to introduce everybody tonight?
Yes, I am going to introduce each one of you, and when I say your name, just tell people where they can find you on the web and anything you've got going on that you want people to know about. And we'll start with Cliff Baise.
Hey guys, I'm Cliff Baise. I'm a photographer and artist here in Arlington, Texas. You can find me on the web, of course, on Google+, and also at thecreativegap.com.
Moving on to Jackie Freeman.
Hi guys. I'm a graphic designer based out of Los Angeles, and kind of have taken up photography as a hobby. So you can find me mostly on Google+, posting stuff, and on Instagram, where I'm Applejacks. And right now, just doing a lot of freelance projects for different clients. So doing stuff on Google+ in my spare time, and flattered to have been invited to this today.
Sweet, we're glad to have you here. Thanks. Okay, we've got Joe Azure.
Hey there.
Hello.
Joe Azure, however you want to pronounce it. I'm based out of San Francisco. You can find my photography here on Google+, of course, and at jazurephotography.com. A lot of people know me just because I shoot the Golden Gate Bridge a lot, but I also do a lot of other stuff, but mostly in the landscape genre. And glad you guys decided to have me here.
Yeah, you shot your best one recently. You can give up now, right?
Actually, no, because I've been shooting it for several months, and every single time I go out, well, at least every couple of weeks, a better one comes along.
Yeah.
Like the more I do it, the better they get. So I'm gonna keep at it.
Yeah, I do think that may be the most +1 photo of all time on Google+, Joe.
Super. It was awesome.
Woo! You know what? It's actually interesting in that in 3 days I got more views than my entire portfolio on Flickr for 18 months.
Wow. Put that in your bragging rights.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, maybe nobody watches me on Flickr, but it said a lot to me. Where I should be spending my time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Google, we have Petra Cross.
Hello there, people. My name is Petra Cross, and that's Petra, like the city in Jordan, and Cross, Cross, like where they hung Jesus. And it's probably worth mentioning that I'm a Googler. I've been at Google for 7 years.
Oh yeah,
it's been a long ride. And I've spent the last few years on Gmail, but I just left Gmail, and I Google Wallet in San Francisco, so I don't need to commute to work anymore. I walk. Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, and I can tell you about my superpowers and accent, but I don't want to talk too much.
So we can find you primarily on Google+, huh?
And petracross.com.
Petracross.com. Okay. All right. We have a twofer in this window over here with Sly Vegas and Charli Blake.
The double whammy. Hi guys. I'm Sly Vegas. You guys can find me mostly on Google+, where I spend most of my time. I'd still deposit stuff on Flickr, but it's not the place to be anymore. Who gets to hang out like this on Flickr, right?
Yeah.
You can find most of my photography on slyvegas.com. It was Sly Vegas Photography, but I've changed it a little bit because I'm going to be adding some music and some other things and blogging on there, and not just exclusively doing photography. And I've been currently working on a secret book. I guess I'll leash it right now. I'm not going to say too much, but I'm working on a little ebook. And the preface of it is San Francisco Bay Area Photographer's Handbook, essentially, and it's going to be an intensive guide for every style of photography that you can embrace in San Francisco City. And I'm going to, this is the first that I've mentioned it. I'm going to want to interview you, Thomas, and some other locals and stuff, and compile some really excellent locations for new photographers to go and old alike, and talk to Joe about sunrise and sunsets, and the places to be to catch all the dynamic stuff that happens with the bridges in the city at night and in the morning, and the list goes on. But that's what I've been doing on the fly lately.
On the fly, exciting! Yeah. But look forward to hearing more about that.
Sounds great.
What about you, Charli?
Charli Blake. I do everything. I am a pet and a human caretaker. I keep this one alive. I do modeling. I do all kinds of art. You name it, I have done or do it. Dabble with photography, not particularly well. And you can find me on Google+, on Facebook, all the obvious social networking sites. I don't have my own site yet, but who knows? I'm starting to create a line of wearable art, so I imagine that I'll want a site for that once I get that up and running a bit more. So that's about that.
Well, that's the best tagline ever. I do everything.
Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah. You name it, I do it.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
One would hope.
And then we have the wonderful and awesome Keith Barrett.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Lotus. I'm Keith Barrett. You can find me on Friendster and MySpace. No, you can find me on Google+, on vidcastnetwork.com, keithbarrett.com, broadcasting any hangout that people want to invite me to, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Sweet. Thank you, Keith.
Keith will also be appearing Friday night at the Ramada Inn.
Hey, I'm there.
Shut up.
And then, of course, as Thomas mentioned, we have our special guest, Jaime Ibarra.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm a lot of things. I'm a musician. I'm a photographer. I'm an artist. And trying to find equal place for all these things in my life right now. But I'm mainly doing photography recently. You can find me on Jaime Ibarra. Oh, you know what? I changed my domain name. Sorry, just ibarraphoto.com. I switched the JaimeIbarra.com to that's going to be the site for my CD project, which is going to be hopefully finished with the recording bit of that by the end of this year. That's about it.
Okay, we'll get deeper into you before too long.
And Jaime is also on Google Plus as well, and has quite a presence over at DeviantArt too.
DeviantArt. Yeah, I always forget about that, and I shouldn't forget about that. But I've been slowly trying to get into the social aspect of Google Plus, and it's been an interesting transition. But things like this are helping me accomplish that. So thank you.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you. Well, we have some a few stories tonight that we're going to talk about, and then before we get into the interview with Jaime, but to start with, I guess story number one. Before we get into story number one, actually, I want to do a quick update on the Plus One collection. Are you guys all familiar with that book?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A wonderful book. I'm really excited. I know some of you are in it, but Ivan Makarov has been working tirelessly to put this book together, and we had over 500 submissions to the book. Lotus, myself, and 9 other people 2 weekends ago went through all of the submissions, and here's a picture of it. And chose about 200 of the photos that are going to be published in the book. All of the photos will be published in the ebook and the PDF, but for the book itself, there's going to be, we narrowed it down to about 200 photos, and there's going to be 2 versions of the book. Lotus, you want to tell people about the 2 different versions?
Yeah, the first one, the one that's going to launch tomorrow, is the limited edition, and it's going to be a larger, I think it was 11 by 13 landscape.
11 by 13 landscape.
And it's going to be printed on fine art paper, and so just a much nicer, larger, finer version of the book is coming out first.
Yeah, fine art paper, limited editions. Yeah.
And then each book is also going to contain a fine art print of one of the photos that's in the book. So you'll actually get a print along with the book itself.
I want that one, Lotus, of you in your socks there in the picture.
I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
Maybe you'll get lucky.
Can you say which print it will be, or it will be randomly selected?
I think they're random. I don't think you can request one, but I'm not sure. Yvonne didn't say anything about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's just going to kind of randomly stick them in there, but you have to ask him directly.
So a book this big, because this is a nice, big, oversized, with over 200 full-plate prints, photographs in it. Normally these books are quite expensive. The book is going to cost $200, which is a lot. It's also, though, $50 of that is going to charity. So, the Lotus, do you know the name of the charity again? I know we changed it. Kiva?
I think it's not pronounced. It's
Kiva.
Kiva.
Yeah, Kiva.
And there will be another less expensive version of the book available.
This one's going to go for 10 days. 10 days only. And then the sale of this limited edition ends after that. It'll launch tomorrow, and then it'll have 10 days.
So I don't know about you guys, but I am super excited. It is a lot of money, but I'm buying a book. I've seen a lot of the photographs that are going into the book, and they're just remarkable. It's really some of the best of what the Google photo community has put out in 2011. And I don't know about you guys, but I think work looks so much better when it's printed like that.
Yeah, the limited edition especially is going to look really nice. But then once that's over, there's going to be a standard edition. And then the PDF and the mobile.
Yeah, and nobody's allowed to buy a limited edition for $200 and flip it in 2 months on eBay for $800 either.
Are you sure?
That's right, Joe.
I'm going to trade it for a Burning Man ticket.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go.
Did everybody get their Burning Man ticket so far?
No, I got a rejection letter.
Uh-oh.
But my Burning Man spirit guide assures me that I'm going, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not worried either. I'll be there.
Yeah, somehow I imagine you guys will. This is going to be my first time going, and I did get 2 tickets, so I was one of the lucky ones.
Oh, feel good for you.
Yeah, so anyways, well, getting on to our stories tonight, the first story is on the gear front, not that we're all necessarily gearheads, but there were 2 big announcements this week, and Colby Brown posted on both of them, and they got a lot of attention. The first one is Nikon is out with a new body, the D800, and also Canon is out with a new version of one of their most popular lenses, the 2470. Did you guys see these 2 product announcements, and what do you think?
Absolutely saw them myself. Ironically, they popped up right at a time when I've been kind of renegotiating my rig.
I saw that.
Although I'm diligently waiting for the Mark III, not knowing what it's going to possess is really kind of trying, and I'm just looking for a camera that does the right thing. I've gotten hooked on Canon. I guess it's an inherent thing, right? That you just get all obsessed with your brand that you choose. I don't know. This is my first year of photography, and I think I'm obsessed with Canon, but I don't know why. But yeah, I think that D800 looks awfully promising, and if Canon's response to that is anywhere in the ballpark, it's going to be the 5D Mark III is going to be pretty amazing.
So
I don't know if anyone saw the charts for the results on the image quality of the 2470, but it blows away the previous version. And I love shooting with primes, but that'll probably be my first zoom purchase if I stay with Canon.
Nice one. So who here shoots Nikon?
I've got a D700, and that would be that'd be perfect to fill my needs as far as video goes.
Yeah, I was looking at the comparison between D700 and 800, and there was only one thing that I did not like, and that was the fact that it only does 4 frames per second. D700 does 5. And, I mean, it does video, but the reason why I wanted more is because I want to make those cinemagraphs. Have you heard of those? And I guess it's good to have more, frames per second for those.
Now, what are these cinemagraphs? I'm not familiar with those, Petra.
It's basically a photo that you put your camera on a tripod, and then you take a picture of a scene where only one thing moves, like a woman's hair or
I have seen
it. Yeah, and then you, like, tediously mask everything and layer them over one another in Photoshop, and then play it like animated GIF.
Those are really cool.
It's a GIF animation, the final product, so.
Yeah. Is this something like that Duncan Blitz does on G+?
I don't know, but someone has...
Not really. It's kind of like a still photo with just a slight animation within it.
No, I know what Sly's talking about. No, he's taking, I believe, actually a single frame and somehow rendering it in a way to get a lot of different versions to make it look like it's moving.
Right.
No, I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about you can find it. Search for cinemagraphs, and you would see, let's say, a picture of a building, and then in the reflection in the glass, you would see a car pass by. A few seconds later, again.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that from one shot, I think.
So most people have been doing it with video, though.
How did they?
Yeah, because the final result can only be a GIF animation. So it's kind of overkill to have a full photo.
Yeah.
So the HD video more than is good enough for that. I've made a few myself, actually.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
I mean, do you shoot Canon or Nikon?
Canon.
Canon, yeah. Have you seen this lens? Did the 24-70? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was walking around for like 3 years. I've had a 24-70L, but lately I'm just using just a cheap, 50mm prime, the 1.8, and I'm perfectly happy with that thing. And I'm shooting more portrait stuff anyway. The only time I use the 24-70 these days is for like doing video, which I've been doing a lot of. So that the new one definitely has some appeal to me for video stuff. But I have to warrant, I'm not getting a lot of video work, to justify having that. I pride myself on having almost zero gear at all. Right now I just have the 2 lenses, So
That's cool.
I don't know. I'm interested, but I'm interested in paying rent and eating food too. So.
Those are important. Those things are important. Well, it's I thought it was interesting. I thought on the D800 the price seemed about right. It's quite a bit cheaper than some of the higher end Nikons. And if anything, I can't imagine switching to Nikon myself just because I'm so invested in Canon and I've got so much Canon gear and I'm so happy with some of their stuff, particularly that 135 f2 prime. But I do hope that it puts some pressure on Canon, like Sly was saying, to really put something nice together for the 5D Mark III and hopefully get it out sooner rather than later.
I would certainly be happy with that. I know I've been really happy with my 5D Mark II and image quality and things like that. But to see that kind of step up another level, so you can. I just started experimenting with getting prints done at 2 feet by 3 feet, or even a little bit bigger. And I'm like, it might be nice to have a few more megapixels to work with and rely a little less on the software to scale it up to that. And the glass is able to resolve, at those higher resolutions. So hopefully they come up with something.
Anybody else have any thoughts on these 2 pieces of gear? Well, we'll see what the end of. So what's that?
The D800 is lighter than D700, which is great.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice. Yeah, the weight doesn't quite bother me as much, but I've got these big, strong hands.
Yeah, that's it.
I work out.
I wear junior gloves. I cannot even wear adult gloves.
Yeah. Okay, so story number 2, Chrysta Ray's scavenger hunt on Google+. Did you guys follow this?
That was awesome.
Yeah, it looked good.
I kept an eye on it, but I didn't participate myself.
It was a lot of fun. I know Lotus and I and Alan Shapiro were the 3 judges for this month, and I thought it was really great. What I like about it more than anything is seeing the community come together and sort of rally around it and get excited. Basically what Chrysta does is she picks 10 different topics, and she tells people, what the topic's going to be, and they got to go out and shoot it and submit it. And 10 different items, and then these things are submitted blind for people to review. And we pick winners, first, second, and third place, and then we give out some honorable mentions as well. And Kimberly Pemberton came in first place this year. So.
Woo! I wore purple for her tonight.
Go, Miss. And I think Kimberly.
She's damn creative. I like seeing her posts.
Kimberly is in the chat room, so that is terrific. So I'm going to take a quick look here. Can you guys see these pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are Kimberly's pictures that she submitted. One of the topics was cookie, and so this was a creative. I actually gave this a first place prize.
I like that background.
Yeah, isn't
awesome.
that great? Color.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Cookies
She
look
also
delicious.
got flour was another topic.
Yeah, hit the space bar.
Hit the space bar. Oh, why?
Just do it.
Just listen to her.
Ah, there we go.
Woo!
Hey. This photo was for the topic joy.
I love that.
We had love. Yeah, isn't that great?
I like that one too. I love the light and the.
Yeah, wonderful.
Where'd it go?
We had orange.
Nice variety.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had secret. I know what you did this last summer.
Cute.
Sly. I know you probably think about that. We had skin, of course, a very confessional portrait here. We had water.
Oh, Sly, you gotta show me how to do some of those water drop things.
Sure, man. Come on over.
We had weather. Whiskers. And those were basically the topics. So there's a bunch of prizes that Chrysta got pulled together that Kimberly won. And it wasn't just Kimberly, though. There were a number of wonderful, wonderful contributions that people put in on this. And I love seeing it. I love seeing the excitement and the enthusiasm around it. Lotus, you have any thoughts on it? You were one
I just thought it was really great to see the connections between people too. So I mean, we all love photography, and so it's really great to see all the photos. But it was really fun to see all the excitement and the people like getting to know each other. I mean, I circled several new people from being involved with that, so I think it's a cool community thing too.
Yeah, so did I. I found a bunch of great new people to follow, and the enthusiasm is just contagious around that thing. So, very much, congratulations to the success of it to Chrysta Ray, and thank you to her for putting in such hard work. I mean, she puts in quite a.
Spent a lot of time doing that.
She does, and she's taxed Google Plus so much that she's been locked out of Google Plus several times now. And thank you also to Brian Rose and people like that get her unlocked out. So
from his vacation.
Right, from Brian's vacation. So, anyways, thanks to everyone who participated in that. And speaking of great things to participate in, Lotus, are you familiar with this company they call Smug Mug?
I love me some Smug Mug.
I love Smug Mug too. SmugMug, one of our sponsors tonight, is we're happy to talk about them. I know you just recently, or just this week, finalized your page on SmugMug for selling your prints. Is that right?
Yeah, the customization is complete.
Do you want to show people what you got? Can you show people, or? Yeah. It's one, the customization that SmugMug can do as a store for you to sell your prints is just awesome. And let's see, let me move this over to Lotus.
Okay, so this is what my page looks like.
Cool.
So this is Lotus's SmugMug gallery, which is just awesome. And you can click through here and scroll through here, and you can actually purchase these prints right online. And the nice thing about SmugMug is they give the photographer 85% of the markup on the prints, which is a wonderful, wonderful payout rate. So they've got nice little thumbnails like this, and if you want to click on one, you can just click on a photo and buy it, and it's got different sizes. And Lotus, do you have? Can you click on one of those prints to show people what it's like to buy one? Click on buy.
Yeah.
Buy this photo.
It's signed in, so it's.
Brings up lots of different sizes and prices, and they handle all the fulfillment for you. So, anyways, we love SmugMug. I am now also selling my prints on SmugMug as well, as is Lotus.
Me too.
I'm the same thing. They just finished my customization as well, and I'm super happy about it.
Is that right, Jaime?
Yeah.
Well, look at that.
Beautiful.
There's yours. So, is this Jaime's SmugMug page?
Yes.
Yep, that's it.
Wonderful. Look at that.
It is gorgeous.
I was looking through that today, and I was like, hey, that's a really nice SmugMug integration. Well
See, that's exactly, they took my website. It was just a WordPress thing that I built, and I really liked the look of it, and they just totally applied my design to this, but it's like my site has been for the
that's
past...
what I love about the customization.
Yeah.
Mine looks like you were on my site, too. So I think that's
amazing,
really
yeah.
nice, that seamless experience, right?
Yeah, I'm super happy.
Jaime, how were you selling your prints before SmugMug?
I wasn't.
Oh, you weren't. Okay, so this is so what a wonderful opportunity, because I know I saw just even on your DeviantArt page a lot of people asking like how they could buy prints and stuff.
I am a represented artist. My rep is in Switzerland actually, and they handle like all the limited edition prints. Because they've got their foot in that market, which I have had no experience with, but they're doing only that for me. So at any given time, there's maybe between 8 and 12, prints being offered.
Right.
But just to sell, just the open edition prints, I've never had the ability to do that, and we do now.
Like you do. Awesome. And Cliff, you've got your photos up there too?
Yeah, it's not quite that custom, but they are for sale. I still have to get to the customization part.
Well, that looks great. I've got mine up there. I just recently put mine up, and I think as far as for selling prints online, SmugMug, you can't. Pardon me, you can't beat the 85% payout.
Yeah.
That's just very, very generous to the photographer. And I see Jarvie's in the chat room. I know Scott Jarvie uses them to sell prints too.
Yep.
And so.
We have for people who use Lightroom, like one of the things that I really like about it is that I can move my photos straight from Lightroom right over there with the plugin, and they've got a new one now. It's got some new features. It's got like two-way sync, and you can upload video, and you can send your titles over there, which you couldn't do before. So it's really nice.
Wonderful. And Sly, are you using SmugMug? You set something up there too, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did, but it doesn't look as cool as your guys', man. You guys are going to have to show me your little tricks.
Nice.
I haven't messed with it much lately. I've been really kind of had my head in that book concept and doing a lot of studying and stuff.
Well, if you are a photographer and you're looking for a way to monetize your business and sell your prints, it's something that we use and is highly recommended by a lot of us here, but a lot of other people as well. So that is SmugMug. We thank.
I'm actually one of the guys that I don't use SmugMug. Well, I don't really print anything and sell anything at this point. Although I have been starting to see a lot more demand. But they use Bay Photo, and Bay Photo is I have been researching on, the self-fulfillment side, or who do you want to print your stuff. If you want, grand landscape, perfect, beautiful, wonderful stuff done, and everybody I've talked to that's like the number one, vendor that pops up.
Yeah, Bay Photo has a wonderful reputation for.
Yeah, great reputation, and so, even though it might be on another site, it's like, well, guess what? I'll self-fulfill it, and it's going to go to Bay Photo, and as soon as I can switch over to something that does it even easier for me, I will be.
That does give you a peace of mind knowing that it's going to be done with Bay Photo. I also use Bay Photo. In fact, everything on that wall is Bay Photo.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Yeah, Bay Photo's great, and yeah, that to me also was a great appeal of SmugMug, that you could do Bay Photo through SmugMug. So they've got two vendors. I can't remember the other one, but Bay Photo is the one that I'm printing my photos at as well. So wonderful. So that's a little bit on SmugMug, who we love, and thank you for sponsoring our show. The next thing we wanted to talk about, what did you guys think? Did any of you guys catch the show last week with Carlos Miller?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lotus, I know you did. That was one of my favorite shows we've done so far. Carlos, who's a wonderful advocate for photographers' rights and publishes his stuff at photographyisnotacrime.com, he was arrested down in Miami while covering the Occupy Miami movement. And when they arrested him, he believes that the police deleted his material on his camera of his arrest. And fortunately for him, he was able to use some recovery software. And please, they're not allowed to delete your files, by the way. And he was able to get that content back.
All of it?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's working on all of it, but he's got a big chunk of it. And there were a lot of sites this week that covered this. Gizmodo was one of them. And I'm going to share my screen again here and play the video that it actually came. He was able to recover, so we can see that, because I thought that was really interesting. It might be a little difficult to see, but I'm going to go ahead and play it here. This is what he was able to recover. So you can see here there are other journalists out there with cameras.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, you say it doesn't work that way. Hold on. Mike. It's okay, right here. You got it. You were given a verbal order, sir. You were told that you were going to be placed. We don't want to hurt you. What? What do you mean? A woman is being that hard on you? Come on, relax. I am relaxed.
So you can see that's the material he was able to recover, and you can see. I mean, there are other journalists there in the frames before they arrest him. He's not really doing anything, and they just decide to single him out and arrest him. And this is the third time Carlos has been arrested for photography. And the other 2 times, both of them, he beat the rap and had the charges dismissed against him. And I'm pretty sure he's going to have these dismissed against him as well. I mean, he wasn't doing anything out of order. He was covering the event there as a journalist. I do hope that that they do get into trouble for deleting his files, because you're not allowed to do that. And I think he's still going to try to recover more. But anyways, an update on the story. Did you guys have any thoughts on that? Did you?
I kind of wonder, looking at it, I'm just wondering, well, gee, how can they, how does he prove that, yes, it was deleted? Kind of makes you think about, like, well, gee, my storage medium, is there any way for me to determine what has actually happened to it? Because they can actually just, they could just say, oh, no, we didn't delete that.
Right.
It was on there when we gave it back to you.
And he mentioned that last week. Do you remember that, Thomas? He said that he was saying there's no way I can actually prove they deleted it. I can recover it.
Prove that they
so that I didn't resist, but I can't prove that they had deleted it. So that's a good question.
It's an interesting forensic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To ask him any questions. It seems like they went straight into handcuffing him or something.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem...
There was no words. It was just all of a sudden camera moving in different directions, and you could only assume that he's being handcuffed or something.
Yeah, I thought it was, certainly he wasn't resisting, and I thought it was kind of odd that the female police officer made that remark about, you can't handle being arrested by a female or something like that.
Well, how did you like the part where she was like, we don't want to have to hurt you?
Right, I know. I mean,
like, what? Really?
Why would you hurt somebody like
that?
Yeah, that's the job.
Really? Like, okay.
Well, anyways, that's an update on that, and we love Carlos, and he's been a good friend of mine for years, and we're going to continue to follow that story, and hopefully he beats that rap like he's beat some of the other ones. So.
Thomas,
Yeah.
I have a question. Were the other cities he was arrested in Florida too?
I know the first time he was arrested, it was in Miami, and I think the second time was too. I think they were all in Florida, yeah.
Does Miami have the type of laws like Long Beach has with photography?
Well, Long Beach is interesting because there technically are not laws on the books that allow the harassment that's gone on down at Long Beach, and it's definitely harassment. I mentioned on last week's show that I had the FBI come visit my house over my shooting at Long Beach and got put on the do not fly list myself. So, but the ACLU has jumped in down there and is working with photographers right now. They filed a lawsuit, in fact, against the LA County Sheriff's Department, I believe, to try to stop this harassment of photographers. Because you are legally allowed to shoot from the sidewalks in Long Beach, but the police will stop you and harass you, and in some cases there have been people that have been arrested and things like that, simply for being on the sidewalk and shooting an oil refinery.
Mm-hmm. Did you see that post that was about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, about not being able to use SLR camera in London subway in one of the stations?
Yeah. I hadn't seen that.
You bring a big ass film camera, but you cannot bring an SLR camera. DSLR camera.
It is kind of silly. It is kind of silly, but that's unfortunately, part of
ignorance.
That we live in today. So, anyways, I thought that was an interesting follow-up on Carlos's story. The one last thing we're going to talk about before we get into Jaime's interview is there was a story on Google Plus this week. Actually, it was by Athena Carey, who is Lotus. Lotus, you know her, right?
I know her kind of a little bit. I mean, we lived in the same house for years and years. She's my big sister.
Lotus's big sister. So Athena put a really nice photo up. In fact, I'm going to hit the space bar here.
She's been doing some really beautiful landscape photography lately. She used to do mostly portrait stuff, and she's been doing a lot of gorgeous landscape.
Yeah, it's a really nice picture. But along with the picture, there's the photo that she put up. She asked people, what do you do to clean your sensor? She was wondering about that. And it's a good question. I don't know. What do you guys do to clean your sensor?
I clean my sensor.
What'd you say, Sly?
I clean mine manually. I just use a basic sensor cleaning kit and a swab. You know, you lock your mirror. You lock your mirror out. There's a mode inside of all of our cameras that'll flip your sensor right up into the hole where you mount your lens. And I just clean mine myself with a simple cleaning kit that I get off of Amazon for like $12.
So do you use wet swabs or what do you use?
Yeah, it's a little swab thing. It's actually it has a little adhesive on it. You just use you use your blower, you blow all the dust off, and it's just a small little tacky little tiny little swab that you just dab onto your sensor and picks up all the dust. The important thing to do is to have an area that's dust free, and that's the tricky part. So if you shine a flashlight in darkness in the area where you're going to clean your sensor and there's lots of particles flying around, that's not the place you want to do that. It's kind of counterintuitive. It'll just land back on your sensor. So a good idea is to clean your sensor in front of, if you have an air purifier, and again, I'll test the area. I'll turn the lights off and shine a flashlight and see if there's any particles flying around in the air, and if the environment seems clean enough, that's where I'll do the task. But it really works well to do in front of a small little air purifier, you know, that you can get from Home Depot for $20 or something. And even as long as it's purifying that area right up around your where you're doing the chore, there won't be any dust landing back on your sensor.
You don't have an airlock chamber in your house?
No.
That's where I go, man.
No, good for you. Yeah, no, I'm building one this year. We're working on the airlock chamber.
The panic room?
I'll have to get some schematics from you.
But you know, I think a lot of people get freaked out about the idea of going in there and doing that themselves.
Well, you know why? Because all these manufacturers want you to send your camera back to them or go pay some.
It's a conspiracy.
That's right.
Well, yeah, it is a conspiracy, isn't everything?
Petra, what were you saying?
I've got this thing.
Petra, you
I heard that the best place to clean your sensor is at the Burning Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, clean it right
Don't
there.
change lenses at Burning Man. So I've got this thing that works real well to view the sensor. So that's what I use along with the swabs.
Swabs.
And what is that?
Yeah, I use these little swabs. You know, I don't
that's
know,
the kit that I got right
a
there.
buck a piece or something like that, and they have a solvent on them for the stuff that's really adhered on there. When you do the long exposures, 5, 10, 15 minutes, it's like dust stuff will actually kind of melt and stick right onto your sensor, and you can't really pick it off, and the solvent seems to work pretty well. But yeah, you got to do it in a dusty place.
I'm sorry, Joe. So you're more likely to see a lot of smudging and things like that if you're doing a lot of long exposure photography too, than.
Yeah, because oftentimes you're going to be at a small aperture as well, and like you don't see the dot, you don't see at f2 or f4 or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's just going to blend in. But I'm stopped down to f16, f14 all the time, and that makes one of those dots just look like, especially when you bump up the contrast, it just looks like a little black spot right on your frame.
Yeah. I like how as soon as we started talking about this, both Cliff and Joe both jumped up to go get their stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta have props, you know me.
Yeah, I will say, I have been unhappy with what I've been able to do myself with sensor swabs and methanol, and I've also been unhappy. I've tried the Arctic butterfly brush, and I didn't like that either. And I tell you, this may sound bad, but the only thing I do now is I send it into Canon, and they do a great job. I'm on the CPS Platinum thing, so they have it back within a couple of days. And with my Platinum membership, they give you 6 certificates for cleaning, and I found that there's that one piece of dust that you just cannot get off for the life of you. So that's what I do.
That's where you need the solvent, and I use 3 swabs for cleaning.
Yeah.
So like even if I end up I changed lenses out of Burning Man, and and I was like, did one session of shooting, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty bad, and I just take out 3 swabs and know that's what I'm going to use because I can't get it all in one, especially around the edges.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you got to let the stuff dry.
Well, you know, once you do get all the dust off those photos and you start saving them to your hard drive, one other very important thing that you want to keep in mind is after you put all that hard work into those photos is keeping them backed up. Right, Lotus?
Oh, tell me about it.
Backed up is important, and what better way to back up your photos than our good friends at Drobo?
Woo, Drobo!
They give you peace of mind.
They do. So I've got 5 Drobos myself, and it gives me nice and peace of mind when I go to sleep at night. I know if one of my drives goes bad, I pop one out, pop a new one back in. It's one of the least expensive ways to replicate data across multiple drives.
How many times does it get replicated?
That's a good question, Petra. I mean, I don't know. Mine have got 4 drives, and it's my understanding that up to 2 of the drives can fail.
Okay, so 3 times.
Yeah, so I've had drives fail before. They turn red. I hate seeing that. And I haven't had 2 fail at the same time yet, but when I've had 1 fail, I just pop the drive out, pop a new one in. It takes a while to heal and repair itself, but eventually it does, and then I'm back to normal. So I like them. They're pretty small and compact size. I can fit 4 drives in there. You got 2 terabyte drives. That's I think it's a total of 8 terabytes of storage, which gets you about 6 terabytes of actual storage. And I just take them, I use them, and then I put them in my safe to lock them up to prevent against fire and theft. And it's a great solution. So,
how are they on the noise?
One is sitting literally right next to the mic on my Mac right now that I'm recording on.
Okay.
It's literally 4 inches away from it. So
that's really good then.
Yeah, I find very, very little noise. Sometimes when it's like rebuilding, when you got to put a drive in or something like that, you hear the drive noise.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on the drive.
Yeah.
But the noise as far as the fan, it's not intrusive at all.
Yeah, Cliff, you use one as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm shopping for one. I just had a drive failure this week, and it was not fun to recover from. So
maybe the next version will be the solid-state drive, and it will be completely quiet.
Yeah, well, solid-state drive, that's the next big thing coming out. Although solid-state memory is still very expensive.
It's ridiculous. I finally upgraded my main drive to a solid-state just to get the performance increase in Photoshop.
Yeah.
And it's a lot faster, but man, oh man, it's like I got a 320 gig drive and paid just over $400 for it, and that's with a really good deal.
Yeah,
so yeah, they're stupid expensive.
Yeah,
they're not going to be practical for storage. I mean, it's celestial purpose is to speed your software up.
Yeah, speeding up processing, that makes sense, but Jaime's right. For storage, and that's for me. I don't care that I'm using physical drives. They're a little bit slower in the Drobo because it's archived, right? It's that's where I keep the stuff when I'm not working on it. When I am working on it, I move it to the MacBook Pro and work directly there off that hardware.
You know where the solid-state drives really pay off is in laptops because there's no moving parts, so it's more durable.
They are, yeah. They are great. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in that. My MacBook Pro is 2 years old, so it still has one of the old drives in it, but the next one I get, I will pay up and get that solid-state drive. But in the meantime, for all my archive stuff and storage stuff, I think Drobo is a great way to go. It's reasonably priced, and they replicate my data, and I'm protected. So you just plug and play. It's FireWire 800. So you can just plug it right into a pretty fast connection on my MacBook Pro. So
do you take one of them with you when you travel?
I don't. Usually when I travel, I have a 750 gigabyte internal drive on my Mac, and I'll free up a lot of that space, and that's usually enough to get me by. When I travel, what I do is I just use like one of these little not this one, but one of these like little Seagate drives, and I use that for my Time Machine drive. And so I'm just running Time Machine on my MacBook Pro, and I usually have enough storage space on my MacBook Pro to actually I do have the one that I'm using now because it's a FireWire 800 Seagate, one of those little pocket drives. It's just much lighter, and if I'm using Time Machine, everything's backed up. It's not quite as good as the Drobo, but I still have it on 2 drives, on the Time Machine drive and on my MacBook Pro drive. So.
By the way, the solid-state drives, they have a much higher error rate than the mechanical ones, so you're probably better off keeping your backup on the mechanical ones.
Ah, that's a good point. I wasn't aware of
That's
that.
good to know.
I know a scientist that works on the error correction algorithm.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I do want solid-state drive strictly for the speed and to speed up Lightroom. And so, you know, I'm due a new MacBook Pro maybe later this fall, so when they come out with, whenever they come out with the next ones, I'll probably get a new one, and I'll probably get solid-state drive internal in that. But just for the performance increase. But as far as the storage stuff, I'm all, you know, physical drives and Drobos is my plan right now. So, anyways, so we do love our sponsor Drobo, though, and thank you to them. Which, not to get off topic from Drobo as much as we love them, but we do need to get to Jaime. So, this is the part of the show, Jaime, where we talk about you. And a lot of people here have some questions for you, hopefully. But before we get into photography, I've got a question for you that I promised people, which is, where do you get the best barbecue in Austin?
See, you kind of warned me about this question, and I've eaten barbecue. I'm not a connoisseur, but I asked a few people today to prepare myself for this.
Oh,
I know. But I'm told if you're downtown in Austin, Texas, you want to go to Ironworks. If you are outside of Austin, there's a new place like southwest of Austin. There's a place called Salt Lake that's really good. And if you're in West Austin,
gets a lot of props.
What's that?
Salt Lake gets a lot of props. It's true.
I've not been there yet. And the last one was the place that I have been a few times in West Austin's Rudy's.
Rudy's?
Yeah. Rudy's is awesome.
Jaime, next time I go home to visit my parents in North Carolina, you just come with me and you can get some way better barbecue there.
See, I don't like. I lived in North Carolina for a few years.
You don't like North Carolina barbecue?
Oh, I lived in North Carolina 10 years. No! I love North Carolina barbecue.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was going to like you, Jaime.
What's that?
I thought I was going to like you, but...
I know, it just cannot be. I'm sorry. These are the cards that were dealt, the barbecue cards.
Well, so now that we got the important question out of the way with barbecue, let's talk a little bit about your work. Tell us a little bit about your background, you know, how you got into photography originally, how long have you been doing this? I mean, your work is outstanding. Are you an overnight sensation, or did it take some time, or give us your...
I've always had a camera around, like as far as I can remember, but always just some point and shoot, or I mean, not to give my age away, but I remember one of the first ones I had was just a Polaroid Instamatic with the flash bulbs, and that's the thing I'll give my age away, the flash bulbs, you know. But I didn't really buy I didn't have an SLR camera until the end of 2004, and that's when I bought my first. I got the original Canon Digital Rebel, 6.1 million pixels. That's a lot of pixels, right? And they had the piece of crap plastic kit lens, but I wanted that thing so bad. And like that first year with that camera and lens combo, I landed 3 magazine covers just with that, because I think I in my head, I've wanted to do this so badly that when I finally got a camera that was worthy of like pursuing it, you couldn't even stop me. And that's it. I mean, I've always been. I'm sorry.
And you're not still shooting with a Digital Rebel, though?
Gosh, no. I stepped up to. I have a 5D Mark II. I had the 5D for about probably like 3.5 years before I got the Mark II. I'm very low tech. I don't own any studio lighting equipment. I don't even have a flash. I don't even own a reflector of any kind. I like having just the camera, and well, for the longest time I just had the one lens. I just had that 24-70L, and a photographer, a friend of mine, gave me the 50mm prime, the 1.8, for my birthday, and suggested I try it, and I that's my favorite lens now when I'm shooting, what I shoot anyway. Like I said, I use the 24-70 for shooting video now that I have the 5D Mark II, but for the longest time I just had the one lens. So I'm very, very, very low tech. So.
That's a damn good lens. I remember when I was looking into like buying my first upgrade lens for my XTI, and I forgot where I was reading, and essentially right at the beginning of the web page, it's like, try the 1.8, 50mm, and if that doesn't get you what you want in terms of quality, then you don't even have to read the rest of the page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
So you're not doing a lot with lighting. You mostly use natural light when you shoot.
Yeah.
And how did you get into shooting all of these wonderful models? Are these paid jobs? Are these
most everything you see that I post online, no money changed hands at all, because you try to, when you're working with models, and I find that if the photographer is better than the model, and that model really wants that photographer's images, she's going to pay the photographer. Or it's the other way around, the photographer's going to pay the model. But I've always just been very judicious and very selective about at least the quality of the people that I would photograph. So at any given time, you're always on the same level. And if we bring in a hairstylist or makeup artist or a wardrobe, designer, try to get people on your same level so you're all willing to work just for the trade, just to get the good photo at the end of the day. And once I started getting those, then it was easy to approach. I can now approach a modeling agency with confidence, and knowing that they're going to hand over a model or two for me to test with. So, but I'm not a fashion photographer. I'm not a service provider kind of photographer. I'm an art photographer basically, and you'll see the same small handful of women. Yes, mostly women, just over and over and over and over again in my photos, just simply because I get the results that I want to get with them, and I make no apologies about that. So if I find a muse that I like, I'm gonna keep working with her again and again and again. Like probably the person you'll see the most in my photos is little 5'2" raven-haired thing named Jessa, who you've seen her probably like 85% of my photos, but she's a chameleon. Yep, that's her. Yeah. That's the one. And that one goes back a long time, actually. That was when I first moved to Austin, and it was like in 2007. But little did she and I know, we would go on to produce images that would respectively define each other, as her as a model or me as a photographer. So we're very, very, very tight in our working relationship, and we're really good friends, and so I always get good results with her all the time. So hence the
interplay between your personalities, and the ideas come from both of you.
We never really conceptualize anything, but when it comes down to wherever we found ourselves plopped into this situation, or here we are in this place or whatever, then now we have to decide what are we going to do. So yeah, then it becomes a pretty equal. It's never an argument. It's never one of us trying to convince the other. Just she is on the same page I'm on. I didn't even know what that page was and what that page would have looked like until I met her. So yeah. So there's a lot of equal input, I would say. She's an artist herself. She makes things. She paints. Her art authenticness definitely shines through in the photos as well. So.
Is that the same girl that's in the picture? I'm trying to figure out if it's a real tattoo or if you painted it on later. With the feathers on her head, like a Native American. Is that the same girl?
That's not the same. That's not the same girl, but that model is named Lauren Calloway. She's a model out in L.A. And then I don't know if I can pull that up on. Am I able to do a screen share here?
Yeah. Do you see at the top on the upper left where it says screen share?
Yeah.
Go ahead and click on that.
Okay.
And
then I can just choose whatever application window I want.
Click on whatever application window you want, and I'll put it on you, and you should be able to pull up some images.
Okay. So I'm just gonna go pull up my DeviantArt.
Share some of these images with us and talk about them. And while you're doing that, Jaime, I've got a question for you. You process primarily in Photoshop?
Nothing but Photoshop.
So you don't use Lightroom at all?
No.
Only Photoshop.
Only Photoshop, because I like to have. I demand omnipotence over my colors, and I don't use any presets. I don't use any third-party anything to adjust my colors. So, and then Photoshop affords me the ability to do that.
Did you start with Photoshop, or did you learn something else first and then you learned Photoshop?
I've been using Photoshop since version 2. I've been a graphic designer for a long time, so Photoshop and I are really, really good friends.
It's intimidating to a lot of people to start with Photoshop.
Yeah, I know, but it's just something that I did. I was just that's all I did, all day, every day. This is the photo you're talking about.
Did you add any kind of body paint on her after, or was it all of it?
That's a real tattoo, actually.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
I like that. I was asking her about that because it almost, in many ways, kind of resembles like henna.
Yeah, exactly what I was just saying.
But what's nice about it was she was telling me, because she and I, I'm heavily tattooed myself, but we were talking about how I was like, wow, I bet that hurt because it was right there on your rib cage. And she says actually she benefited the fact that she was gonna have some color filled in, and then to quote her, she goes, "But I pussed out." Because I couldn't imagine the pain, but I said it worked out really well that she didn't get the tattoo colored and filled in. Because I love that. It's a really cool piece.
Yeah.
Was it red?
Anyway,
I have a question for you, Jaime. I'm wondering about the backgrounds, some that you use in a lot of your processing. You just go out and you see those and you're like, well, I'm gonna shoot that because I know I'm gonna use it at some point.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessive about that actually. And I used to carry that 5D Mark II around with my big old 24-70 lens everywhere I went, just in case I saw a texture or something, like a wall surface or something that I wanted to photograph. I recently got this guy, so now I can actually. This is an Olympus pen. I got the PN1, but this is it's almost 13 megapixels, and just for shooting a wall or something, this is awesome. This thing is amazingly good, and it's so easy to carry around. I feel ridiculous holding it. I'm used to holding around that howitzer with me, But this thing, this goes with me pretty much just in case I see a cool texture or something that I want to use. But I oftentimes will make them myself too in Photoshop. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of that last one I was showing. I actually put up on my Google Plus. I'm trying to find this really quick, and I'll share this. Sorry, bear with me here.
Yeah, I saw in one of your YouTube videos, kind of working on a cement wall texture.
No, but that was the real texture. Though.
Yeah, real texture.
I did color it a bit, but
yeah, and moving the parts around so that you know, so that they worked well with the image. But I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, like this is just shot here in the living room of the house.
That's Devin Willow, right?
What's that?
Isn't that Devin Willow?
It is Devin Willow.
Cool.
Yeah, I love noticing the door frame over there and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think
it's great.
Just to show you, I'm just shooting in the house mostly.
Yeah.
And that's just ambient light? Were you using any continuous lighting, or is that just...
I live in the home of a really good friend of mine who's a photographer. His name is Jean-Philippe Martin, and Jean-Philippe has a whole array of like pro photo lighting equipment here.
Oh,
So
nice.
if I'm having to shoot at like 1:30 in the morning, as was the case here, it took about 14 hours to get the model into this condition. Like we had an amazing body painter named Mirabel Wagner that did all this. So by the time it came to take the photos, the sun had long since laid down for the night. So we had to light it, And,
so you weren't strobing on this session? This was just using the modeling lights from the pro photos?
No, these are strobes. It's two soft boxes pointed straight at the ceiling, so this is all bounced light off the ceiling.
Okay.
And Jaime, obviously you're an incredible professional when it comes to Photoshop. Are there some tips that you can give our viewers out there? Obviously you can't go. It takes hours to go into everything you do, but are there some little things, some basic things that people that use Photoshop should think about?
Well, I make the bulk of my yearly income by teaching specifically the way that I do my color grading in Photoshop. That's how much it's important to me. But I think a lot of people have shied away from Photoshop, and understandably, right? Because there's a lot of buttons to click on and things to learn. And if I were like a normal photographer where I was shooting a lot of stuff, or I'm shooting an event or something where I have to just bang, 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 get those photos out and just get them processed, and Lightroom is pretty much the best thing for that,
Right.
But with me, like, I'm looking for one specific image, and I have a very, very clear vision of what I want before I go into it. So the whole idea of like I'm having to spending a week, in Photoshop working on one image. I treat it like a painting almost. Not that I paint, but if I did, I'd probably take forever on that too.
Right.
But the power that you have in Photoshop is the power of layers. And then once you grasp the concept of layers, then now you can put on your new superhero cape. And it's something that I think is easy to grab. I don't know if you guys know about lynda.com, lynda.com.
Sure.
You can learn anything you'd ever want to know about Photoshop in a very pleasant, easy to understand format. There's 50 jillion videos on there you can watch. You do have to pay for the membership, but you can just pay for it like 1 month at a time. It's totally worth it, and you won't be as intimidated at all. I've learned every piece of creative software I've ever learned actually from Lynda. This goes back when I used to order VHS tapes from lynda.com.
Yeah,
of course, now you can just stream them and watch them online.
Yeah, Jan Cavalli, who's been on the show before, is an instructor there at Lynda.
Yeah, she's in the chat room too.
Oh, is she in the chat room? Oh, yeah, she is. There she is. Right.
Yes, she is.
Yes. Hey.
Hi, Jan.
Actually, Jan's talking about something interesting, which people are probably interested in as well, I see in the chat room, is Photoshop CS6. Any thoughts on that?
I haven't even taken a look to see what it can do.
Is that right? I know there was a video out the other day, or a sneak peek or whatnot.
Yeah, I just figured it'll come out, and I'll wait just a few months before the next major update, and then I'll read about. Okay, we got everything ironed out, and then I'll think about it. But I try not to buy something like just straight out of the factory, because there's going to be bugs. Sorry guys, but it's true. So I'm just kind of scared to buy something that's kind of expensive, right? And
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna. I hate to say it. Even though I've had CS5, now I'm currently CS 5.5. I can't tell you how many times I fire up CS4. because it's just more stable for what I do anyway. But that's just my experience with it. Don't let that don't let that put you off or anything. But
sure.
Jaime, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Everyone.
Oh, so you talked about what kind of camera equipment you have and that you use Photoshop 4 and 5. So what other type of computer equipment do you use?
Like software?
No, like what do you work on? Do you use a Wacom? Do you...
Well, to get the first round of stones thrown at me, I'm probably the only PC haver in this group. Maybe. It's highly likely.
Someone please kick him out of the room.
What's that?
Someone please kick him out of the room.
I am a PC person, and maybe one day I'll have a Mac. I don't know, but as I'm using the same software, I'm using the Adobe stuff, and that's when I fire up my computer. That's what I'm using. Computer is also the heart of my recording studio as well for my music, and it functions wonderfully well for me. But so I'm just using Adobe software. I'm just using a PC, and I've always built my own machines. I'll say always, but since I destroyed my first computer, from then on I started building them, because I have to take everything apart to figure out how it works, right? I usually screw that up. I was the kid that dissected his toys. Never could put them back together properly, but at least I figured out how I did the thing, right? I think that's a good thing, presumably, somehow. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a computer that I can run my software on. I don't really think much about it. I'm so like not a gearhead. Like I almost hate to even have to have a camera between me and the person I'm photographing, because it just, for me, it takes away from that human element. Because my photography is about connection and connecting with that human being that's in front of your camera. And I think that I can't tell you how many times after a shoot the person I'm photographing says, that was just really nice. It was laid back. It was just very intimate and very real human, because they don't see light in their face, and there's not cables running across the floor that go to the power pack, and the power pack recycle beeping at them, and it's just me holding the camera. And I think that can make a big difference, especially for someone that's never been in front of the camera before. I don't know. That's just my experience with this, and based on what I'm told. But I started off just with that one camera because that's all I could afford without my, at the time, wife threatening to kill me. And so just the fact that I had a camera, that was going to have to be good enough. Well, but honey, I need to spend money on some lights. No, that was not going to happen. So I've learned to make do with what I had. But even as the years went by, and I could afford to buy some lights, but I just don't want them. It's just the freedom that I'm afforded. And I know that there are those who will argue, well, how's your freedom at 1:30 in the morning when the sun's not there? I was like, okay, fair enough, but I would say probably 90%, maybe 91% of the stuff you see on my website and on DeviantArt or here on Google Plus or whatever is natural or available light. I'm not saying that I never use studio lighting. Sometimes I have to. Sometimes maybe I want to. It just depends. But for the most part, I just like natural light. That's just me.
I mean, do you do a lot of work with things? I mean, obviously we've seen your model work here, which is just outstanding. I mean, it's really quite spectacular. Do you like to shoot other things as well, or do you like to focus on that?
I do what I do. I've dipped my toe in a few different waters. Just nothing really holds my interest. I'm just not inspired to shoot other things. I've tried, because I'm never one to just fold my arms across my chest and go, no, I would not like that, unless I try it and try it enough where I can form a true opinion based on what my feelings are. This is what I enjoy doing. I only shoot what I love to shoot. If I don't love what I'm pointing the camera at, I don't want to shoot it. That's just me, And I don't love the tree. I don't love pet food or whatever it is. I don't know.
There's no
I mean,
connection there.
what's that?
There's no connection there.
No, the fruit can't tell me a story. You know.
Now, in terms of the business side of things for you, so you said you make most of your money teaching these techniques. Is that right?
Yeah. It's just there's really specifically there's one thing that I teach, and it's how I do my color grading in Photoshop.
Yeah.
And this has been really interesting because a lot of the photographers that inspired me to even want to pick up a camera to begin with have taken the session from me. And you know, it's pretty cool. Trey Ratcliff himself came over here a couple of months ago.
I know Karen Hutton did as well.
Karen Hutton did, and it's really
They're
cool.
both in the chat too.
What's that?
They're both in the chat right now.
Hi. I don't have the chat thing open, so I can't see. But Karen and Trey both. I mean, they take these techniques, and I think the reason that you see this consistency in my work is I apply the same steps to every single photo. Now, that doesn't mean every photo is going to look exactly the same, but I never deviate from those things. And Trey and a few other people have asked, I was like, well, aren't you worried about you teach people your technique? Are you afraid that they're going to now they're looking like your stuff? It's like, no, because everything that I do is there's several decision points throughout the whole process where I have to make an aesthetic decision. And I loved how Trey was sitting right here next to me, and after I showed him all the steps that I go through, he pulls up this snow monkey photo on his laptop, and he said, okay, you edit this photo just as you want to do it, and I'm going to edit it using the stuff you just showed me. And bam, what he came up with was so different than what I came up with.
Yeah.
I could see the techniques in there, but I wouldn't have done it the way he did it. But what he did looked really good. I think that snow monkey photo in particular is on his. You can find it on Google Plus somewhere on his.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's really cool. But that's what I teach specifically is how I do my color grading in Photoshop. That's how I make my money.
And how do you do those as one-on-one sessions? Do you do those as group sessions? How do you do
one-on-one? And I just it's kind of low budget, just keeping with my usual everything, low budget. Just I use Skype, and people can using the screen share part of Skype, they can watch exactly what I'm doing. Yeah. We can talk, and like every week I'm teaching somebody from some country somewhere. It's pretty cool actually, but yeah. That's all we do.
I have a quick question.
Google Hangouts to do it.
How deep do you expect somebody's Photoshop knowledge to be before you go into something like that? I mean,
I don't expect anybody to have. There's no prerequisites. Rather, let me just address it that way. The only prerequisites are that you have a basic understanding of layers. And it would be helpful if you had a little grasp on masking, but if you don't, I'll cover that. I'll take the helm from there, though. So there's not really a big stringent.
Good. That's good to know, because I think some people might look at it and go, I don't know enough to even go to that store.
Right. Yeah.
How long do you usually spend with someone when they take? Is it multiple sessions? Obviously it depends, but
it's usually one session. It's hard to say the length of time because the length of time is based on the person I'm teaching is what's their level of Photoshop understanding. I've done it in as little as 20 minutes. I've taken as much as 6 hours sometimes. The lady I was teaching that day, the 6-hour one, had never made a new layer. And then I had to explain layers and then masks. And I understand it's a little hard to wrap your head around if you've never even played with them at all. But my thing is I'm not charging for my time. I'm charging for the information. And however long it takes me to convey that information in a clear, concise, easy to understand manner, so be it. Sometimes it's 20 minutes.
Hey, speaking of Trey Ratcliff, it looks like you're a surprise guest today.
What's that?
Hello.
Hey,
Trey.
We know this man.
We do.
Hey, I will come in and immediately give a huge plug to Jaime, and I advise everybody to go take a lesson from him. I went over and spent. He does it over the internet. I happen to do it in person because he's here in Austin. But I happily paid his fee, and I learned a ton from him. And I'm not the kind of person that takes lessons from anybody at all. I'm very, very independent. I like to discover this stuff on my own. But Jaime obviously is doing something very, very unique, and I like the way he thinks about things, and I've never been happier than when I spent money learning from Jaime. I'll never forget it. So thank you, Jaime.
Thank you. You know how many people I tell that story to?
That's
Tried it.
Quite an endorsement when the most famous photographer on the internet says.
Yeah, I tell people that story all the time, and I tell them this other story that probably no one here knows anything about. But I was like really, really sick with stomach flu, like some short weeks after you and I did the session here at the house. And I said, "Hey Trey," I said, "I'm really, really hating it right now." And he was like, Trey goes, "Do you need me to bring some chicken soup?" And I was like, "You know what? I almost would say yes, just so I could say Trey Ratcliff brought me chicken soup that day, and we keep it right here on the mantle. I hate it. It's Trey did this. Just to have Ratcliff brought me chicken soup in there.
Yeah, I would have happily done it.
I was tempted, but yeah, thank you.
Trey, obviously you've taken Jaime's course. In general, is his style, did you find his teaching style to be very approachable? Obviously, it worked for you. And, what do you think, without giving away his secrets, what do you think you got out of it most?
Well, he's one of the few teachers, maybe one of the only ones that I know, that first talks about the art and talks about sort of the arc of your spirit as you approach this art. And he starts out with a wonderful story about how he went to go see a certain movie and he didn't have his glasses, and how it was such a strange experience with the colors, and he had all these breakthroughs during this accidental time. Yeah. And everything he said made perfect sense to me. Like occasionally you might read a poem or read a book and things just instantly connect with you. I totally understood everything he was saying, and I knew what he was going to say next, but it was so nice to hear him say it because he wrapped words around things I was already thinking. And that's what a true poetic teacher can do. And so I was very moved by the session. And I know right afterwards I called Karen. I said, "Karen, this guy's great." She signed up. She took a lesson with him. And I think he's got him stacked up right now. So you guys got to get in if you're interested.
You know what? I tell people about how you took the techniques and you certainly made them your own thing. And then look what Karen did with them. If you've seen, when I saw Karen's work, the way she's utilizing the bits that she liked of the things that I taught her, the way that she would bend and sway with these things, she definitely took them and made them her own thing. And I just think that the time I gave the lesson to you and the time I gave the lesson to Karen Hutton, those are the two things that I repeat both of these things to people who are talking to me about what I do, or people who are considering taking a session from me. They're concerned about how, I don't want to look like your stuff. I'm like, well, it won't look like my stuff. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's amazing how, there's so many, just learning techniques, the creative mind has no limit, really.
But here's if I may, this is a good tie into something else. I'm in the process of doing a book for flatbooks.com, which Trey runs, and then this is everything but the post-production part of it. Like everything but the color grading that I do, because there's a lot more to it than that, and people, I run into a lot of people who think that, well, everything that I do is in Photoshop, or how many people I meet who go like, yeah, I'm looking at the shots I just took today, trying to see if there's anything I can fix in Photoshop. I'm like, that's not what Photoshop is for, it should be a good photo before you even bring it into Photoshop. So like, all the parameters, the self-imposed parameters that I stay strictly within when I'm shooting. That's what this book is focusing on. So it's a good insight anyway. You know, which is it's everything but the way the colors happen in Photoshop, basically.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful book. I know I'm working on one for Trey with flat books as well, so I'm excited too. But we do have to unfortunately close this part of the show because otherwise if I don't, we won't be able to trim this to make it a YouTube video, which we want to do, obviously. So we are going to come back, though, and so nobody leave, because I'm going to invite all of you, even you, Trey.
Oh no.
Thank you.
Back, because we want to take more questions from Jaime, from the chat room especially. So look at my stream in about 2 minutes. You'll see another invitation. Come on back, and we'll keep going, but we've got to end the recorded portion of the show here.
Hey Trey, were you working on some high dynamic range leather working before you joined the Hangout, or?
Nice that you're playing with.
Yeah, it's a Leatherman. Yeah, Sly knows his weaponry and his leather working tool. In a very immediate and suspicious manner, he does.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I would think it was something wrong if Trey didn't have something in his hand.
I know.
Exactly.
You know, I put something in my hands to mirror Trey did. So, anyways, yeah. So, anyways, we will be right back. Thank you, Jaime. It's a wonderful interview.
Definitely.
All of our panelists tonight. We'll have this YouTube video up shortly, and we'll see everybody back right here in about 2 minutes.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Look at everybody.